Hi, I'm Claire from Chancellor Coaching. Today let's explore the 11th card in the Major Arcana, known as the Justice card. Now, right away we know this is all about taking responsibility for the decisions and the choices that you've made moving forward. And it is a time to be honest and and have integrity with those people around you so that they know where you stand moving forward. This is a card of fairness, balance, harmony, and sometimes we have to draw a line in the sand and get the legal system involved to say, okay, I've had enough of what's going on in the past, taking responsibility and knowing that that line means that we can move forward with more certainty. It can be a difficult time of that evaluation, but it is time to put forward those changes into your outer world. So if we have a look at the symbology within the Justice card, there she is holding her sword up, holding it up deliberately towards the heavens, just like we saw in the Magician card. And her other hand there is holding on to the scales, almost pointing down to the earth, again, exactly like the Magician card. And so her energy is about cutting the cords on the past of the the injustices and the karma that didn't work, like a soul contract, completing that obligation and lightening up the load within the scales so that that beautiful energy can help you come back into balance in your experience here on earth. We do have the pillars behind her there, and the pillars again is that wisdom from the higher realms, bringing that down into our earthly realms. So while the pillars are nor black or white, they are grey, the spirit world is asking us again to be in that observing position, to not so much get caught up in into the judgment of what's right or wrong, but knowing that when we have that higher perspective, it forges a path moving forward without all of the guilt, the heaviness following us into the future. So if this card is coming up in a relationship reading, it's not so much a card for romance in the sense that this can represent a divorce, it can represent needing to wipe the slate clean, it can represent that tension that's been building up, and it's again having to come to the party with a level of integrity to say, yeah, this isn't working, we need to cut the cords. In reverse, it could be the opposite. It could be bringing the relationship back to harmony and communion, but there's not so much romance here. Within the Justice card, we can be looking at legal situations, whether that's, people creating their wills, power of attorney, medical attorney, whatever all of those legal words are. But the spirit world here is saying, like, it is time to be honest with ourselves. So if this card is coming up in reverse, there is a lack of accountability. There is an unjust kind of feeling. Things aren't fair, the dishonesty, even legal flaws, unfair treatment. And again, the guides are saying that you need to ask us to come in to help. They have to honor free will and they're not allowed to interfere. So if you're experiencing some of those heavy duty kind of hiccups with the legal system, with your path moving forward, invite your guides, invite your team to come in and to help clear that path so that it's a lot easier on your journey moving forward. If this card comes up in reverse for health, it can represent lower back pain. That's that financial stress, feeling unsupported, lonely, feeling devalued in that area. And the thing is, when it comes to money, if we have that inner sense of abundance, money is so much more easily attracted into our world. So if it's coming up in a reading, it's like, okay, check in with yourself. Why are you holding on to that low self-worth, that lack of value? It can represent kidney or adrenal problems, which is that resentment, the bitterness, that injustice of everything I've invested into this relationship and I got nothing in return. And it's like, well, what caused you to invest and push and do so much? It can represent ovary issues, like feeling that resentment, again, feeling like it's not just to be in a feminine body, it's not safe and secure to be in a feminine body. perhaps something's happened to you in the past and you're still holding on to that. And again, work with your coach, your therapist, your healer to understand where those poor personal boundaries were in the past and how to enforce stronger energetic boundaries moving forward. I know when I worked with a client once who had sexual abuse as a little one, she had these masculine heavy brick walls in front of her. She wasn't going to let anybody in, and of course those walls up were stopping the goodness coming into her as well. And we had to deconstruct the masculine walls and help her radiate that energy to raise her standards a little bit like that rose frequency, just to expand herself out so that she knew how to hold her head high, feeling good about herself. And so the boundaries don't have to be rigid. They can be that really strong divine feminine energy of like, don't mess with me, I know who I am. And it welcomes in those supportive people who know how to value that within themselves too. Gone off on a tangent. So the health in a tarot card here of the Justice card can represent ear problems, and there's that resistance in what you're hearing. Can that be trusted? Because what I'm hearing doesn't match up with what's being done. And it can represent asthma, inability to take in that deep breath because the stress outside of you is so strong. So let's have a look at the symbology in the Justice card. Now, as I said earlier, we've got that beautiful bright yellow background. The future is bright and hopeful if you hold on to the belief, the confidence. Now, confidence means to take a risk, confidence with trust. And the confidence means that you have to know that no matter what happens, you can survive the worst case scenario. If you tackle that in your mind about how that worst case scenario would be the worst thing ever, how is it a problem for you, and you're okay with that, then you can go into that courtroom, that legal room, and say like, yep, bring it on. Like, is that as much as you can do? When you don't have that kind of scarcity in your energy field, you know, you're coming forward with a sense of empowerment. Anyway, I've gone off track. The person wearing red is summoning their authority. They know how to impose their authority, and you know, in the human world, we do hand over our authority over to the law, as we should within that society consciousness construct, I should say. And so yes, the Justice, she is somebody worth watching and taking notice. We have the veil, that purplish kind of veil behind her, and that is keeping us separate to the higher wisdom where she's gaining her knowledge. So there's a bit of she is up on a pedestal, and as a commoner, we don't get to know what's happening behind the scenes. That will be revealed in time as we move forward. Okay, again, we've got the scales there that she's holding onto. That represents that objectivity. The scales hold the soul energy to keep things in balance. The sword just like the sword in the Ace of Swords, represents that mental justice. And she is in charge to cut the cords, the soul contracts, just like Archangel Michael, to bring in that energy of love, harmony, communion, to bring things back to even, so that path moving forward is a lot easier. So team, just checking in, is there anything else here that we need to mention? They are saying that if this card comes up in a reading, the question is like, which area of your life is demanding too much of your energy? How do we bring ourselves back to balance? And again, this card is asking the sitter to have a look at taking responsibility for their choices, their actions, and to let go of some of that judgment energy around them. That's the Justice card. I'm Claire from Claire Chancellor Coaching, and I will talk to you later.